Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football Podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by JJ Bull.
Here I am.
Kaya Kainak.
Rock me like a hurricane.
What?
I just heard him say, here I am.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Rock me like a hurricane. Who knows the third line to that? I bet it's Mark Carey.
I don't know that song.
That's the line. Congratulations. We're all here. Steve Hankey's here as well.
Hello.
Terrific news. Okay. What's on le docket for today? Well, the return of one of my data boys. He's here. He's here today and to add to the conversation about, the unexpected departure of Daniel Levy. Do you remember that? We talked about that. It was quite a long time. Yeah, it was quite a long time ago. Yeah, it's been a long episode. Yeah. Anyway, we speak about Tottenham Hotspur as well, the Spurs. We reflect on the first three games of the Premier League, potential trouble for Aston Villa, Manchester City, other predictions that we may have made before three games that now after three games we're thinking they weren't so good. We'll talk about those. What else happened? What is the traditional British dessert crumble called overseas? We find out its relationship to shoes in America. And then we play the separation game. A root of rich narrative this time around? No, Steve. No. A root of incredible, unnecessary amounts of context from Steve Hankey. Look forward to that. Is football or life harder than the Sega Mega Drive Lion King game? We talk about that a little bit later, as well as an old shout for old school RuneScape. Very exciting. And we speak about Everton's strong start to the season, where we all sit on the toffee, fudge, sweet treat scale. No mention for treacle. Treacle wasn't mentioned all episode. Or maple syrup.
What's treacle?
What is treacle? I don't really know.
It feels like you could power a car with it.
It's like sugary, sort of quite dark, isn't it?
It's like sugary oil.
Darker than syrup.
Treacle is the British term for blackstrap molasses, a thick, dark, unrefined sugar syrup that is a byproduct of the sugar refining process. Treacle.
So it's like sugary Marmite, basically.
It has a rich caramel and slightly bitter flavour, making it a key ingredient in traditional British foods such as sticky toffee pudding, ginger cakes, and fruit cakes.
Oh, and it comes in that tin.
You know the tin.
Yeah, it's called like golden.
Fun fact, which will be of no use to anybody else at this table or any of the listeners, but my wife's family member created that logo, that sign.
No.
That's cool.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
What a claim to fame.
It sticks in the head, doesn't it, in terms of the
It really
visual
does.
art.
I wish we knew what it was called.
I do not
Lyle's.
Is it Lyle's?
Lyle's Black Treacle.
Right.
The lion they drew, is it?
I believe so, yeah. My fact sort of ends there.
Incredible. No, I think if someone in your family does that, then I think it's a good 400 years before you got to do anything else. You know, you can ride on that for a while, can't you? Yeah. Bit like the Cadbury people. They're good to go for a bit, aren't they?
Sweet royalties.
Sweet royalties. Yeah. Okay. Also, we played... we didn't play Points Are Bad. You're absolutely right. We didn't do that, Steve, because we're waiting for domestic football to return. Guess what there's zero chat of in this week's episode, gang?
What's
international football?
International football. If you hate the international break, you've come to a place... I don't know if it's right or wrong.
Do we not have to play Points Are Bad? Because there is games next week.
No, because we'll play it... Wait.
Yeah, there's games next week on the 13th.
Steve, what have you done, Steve?
Oh, yeah.
On the 13th, so when are we next back?
Done? We didn't play it last week. No, did we play it last week?
No, because it was the break.
The break was last week, Steve.
But we picked, we picked the 13th, didn't we?
But did we pick for them already? I think we might have done.
Yes, we did.
We picked for them already.
We predicted for them. So
what did we predict?
It was the Manchester Derby.
We already did this.
Yeah, so we predicted them, so we will then have our predictions and predict again.
We just forgot
next Monday.
It was a long time. Were you away last Monday?
I don't remember. No, I was probably...
You don't remember if you were even there.
Anything.
I think we did it already. Enjoy the show! Well, it's a new era for Tottenham. Do you think we're allowed to call them Tottenham now? Daniel Levy's gone. Was it Daniel Levy and the other executive leadership that wanted us to call Tottenham Spurs? Who could say? Maybe the new people will be okay with Tottenham. This is the key issue, of course. All Spurs fans listening know. I refer to, Mark Carey, of course I refer to, the fact that towards the end of last week, Daniel Levy, now you know who he is, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
What was his official? Was he the executive chairman?
Chief executive, I believe.
It's on the script.
Oh, it's on the script, is it, Steve? Where does it say that? It says,
Chairman Levy.
Oh, chairman. Yeah. He was the chairman, Mark Carey.
He was the chairman.
We got that. The statement said that he stepped down, but then Jack Pitt-Brooke at The Athletic and many other people reported that perhaps that wasn't quite reflective of reality. It seems more likely that it wasn't his choice to leave Spurs.
Did he jump or was he pushed?
Well, there you go. Well, in fact, it seems as though the decision was taken by the club's majority shareholders, the Lewis family, which it marks a hugely seismic change in how Tottenham is run, simply because he's been there for such a long time. It feels as though it is as significant as when Arsene Wenger left Arsenal, when Alex Ferguson left Manchester United, perhaps not as significant as that, but it feels, just in terms of length of time.
There's like an important distinction to make between those and Daniel Levy, I'd say.
What's the distinction?
Well, I feel like those had a specific influence over the players because they were the managers of the team rather than the big dog.
Yeah,
I have seen analogies with the Arsene Wenger one. Yes, as you say, there is a clear difference, but the idea that the person in question has ever so slightly outstayed their welcome, but in the passing of time, you then start to realise just how good a job that person has done when you look back at it in its entirety. And I do think that's still true. Everything that I've read and listened to with everyone talking about Daniel Levy, even people who did want him out, has said there's no doubt that he has dramatically improved the picture of Spurs in general from the time he came to when he's left.
Well, let's have that conversation. And just before that, I will say this is from Jay Harris and Jack Pitt-Brooke on The Athletic. They write, Levy's departure is the last of a series of dramatic changes behind the scenes at Tottenham that have dominated this summer. At the start of the year, the Lewis family instigated a review into the club's performance conducted by US firm Gibb River. Gibb River, what a funny name. I'm sure it's just the names of people's names, not intentionally funny. But I like to say Gibb River.
I'm hearing, the song Moon River. I'm hearing it sort of said like that.
Gibb River. Management consultants. Gibb River. Interviewing staff. They interviewed staff, Gibb River, about how the team could improve. I'd love to know what the answers were. Anyway, this coincided with Peter Charrington's appointment to the club board in March as well. So, and also in April, Tottenham confirmed the arrival of former Arsenal CEO Vinay Venkatesan as the new club CEO, with the departure of long-serving executive director Donna Maria Cullen announced in June. So an enormous amount of seismic change. Mark Carey's kind of just referred to it there, Kaya. I'll come to you and ask you as well. This is huge news for Spurs fans. Firstly, how do you think many of them will feel about it? And then what do you think about it?
Yeah, so if you want a signifier of how long Daniel Levy's been there, Brennan Johnson scored the winning goal in the Europa League final. He wasn't born when Daniel Levy was appointed as chairman of Tottenham. That's how long he's been there. So
wow.
It's a massive change for Spurs. And I think the classic football fan thing is, as a football fan, you're not that bothered about what's going on upstairs and the financial health of the club and stuff as much, because you want to see your team on the pitch winning things and playing nice football, which Spurs have played nice football for long parts, but they haven't won that much. And I think that's where the frustrations came from. And they're in this amazing new stadium. They're financially, in rude health. They're doing pretty well. And that in itself is down to Levy and all the work he's done in terms of making Spurs a big team. The fact that when we talk about the big six, we include Spurs, that's essentially Daniel Levy's legacy. That wasn't the case before he came in, and that will forever be the case going forward. So that, I think, is probably...
Well, will it, though?
Well, we'll have to see.
Because I wonder, not to interrupt your flow,
worries.
But I wonder if would people be sort of fair in thinking that maybe Spurs are edging their way towards
They're
not
certainly
being
the
in a big six?
sixth of the big six.
They're the sixthest.
Yeah. I think that would be fair to say as it stands. But I think Levy has left them in a position where if whoever comes in is well placed to keep them in that big six, although obviously there's challenges from several other teams. But I think, like I say, Spurs fans might not be as interested in that because they've been made fun of for not winning trophies for a very long time. And even in the season where they won the trophy, they saw their worst performance on the pitch in terms of the league, probably for as long as any of them can remember. So I think his legacy is a complicated one, and a bit like when Mark was mentioning the Wenger, and you mentioned the Wenger and the Sir Alex Ferguson comparisons, more Wenger, in the sense that it's ended in a poor way, which I think will cloud the way people see it now. But actually, Levy said it himself in an interview with Gary Neville sort of only a few months ago, which, looking back on it, is somewhat amusing because it doesn't seem like you wouldn't do a big overlap special with Gary Neville if you thought you were about to leave in a month's time. But that's turned out. But he basically said, I don't think I'll get the credit until years on, which is probably what's going to happen. But I don't think any Spurs fans are wrong or unfair in their criticisms of him, because there were legitimate criticisms. And on the pitch, a team that are as big as Tottenham Hotspur shouldn't. I know they won the Europa League, but they can't be down in 17th, and they can't be questioning whether they'll even get European football going forward. It wasn't good enough for a little while.
I ask this from a genuinely sort of naive perspective, but I wonder what will change in the years that follow now that he has gone, in terms of the investment that Spurs have kind of made still on the pitch. Yes, it's not been to the Spurs fans' liking, but they have still made a really significant investment, and they are still bringing in players who are Champions League sort of level quality, and maybe they're not reaching the heights that they maybe should have and the expectations that they should have based on the quality that they have. But like, they have just bought Xavi Simons, who's a very, very good player. It's almost not Levy's fault if Xavi Simons, for example, or other players similar don't reach and fulfill that potential. So I think when you compare it as well with other Premier League sides in the footballing food chain, yes, they've been below par, especially last season, obviously, aside from the Europa League. But there is an extent to which they are kind of operating at a level that you'd expect them to, compared with the other teams who are kind of pushing in the upper echelons of the league. So I will be interested to see just how much things change. And I suppose going back to that legacy, that will, again, in the passing of time, only be kind of confirmed when you see, okay, well, without him and all of the monetary side of things and how well he's balanced the books, when he's not there, how well will they do? And you can do a bit more of a clear comparison.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I suppose the main point in history where Spurs fans might say we should have done something different was towards the end of the Pochettino era, right? Where they were really good. They got to that Champions League final. Then they had the summer where they didn't spend any money, and they didn't replace anyone in the squad. Players started to leave, and then eventually Pochettino left. And I don't want to rewrite history and look back and say if Pochettino had stayed, Spurs would have eventually won the Premier League. But they were pretty close, and it feels as though maybe they didn't fully take advantage of that. So they're certainly much further away from that position now, JJ, than they were 5 or 6 years ago. So. As well as all of the positive things that we can see about the Daniel Levy era, there are definitely some negatives as well, aren't there?
But they built a stadium that cost like 1.2 billion or something like that. Mm-hmm. This is what Arsenal did when they bought the Emirates, is that they didn't really spend that much money. And as soon as it was in, they started throwing money at players like Ozil and Aubameyang and all that sort of people.
Yeah. There was some available, though, wasn't there? I think it felt like under Daniel Levy at times.
Who's available for cheap? Like, who can you afford really that's going to make you better for 30 million? There's not many at that level when you're trying to really push for it. And the problem they always had was that they can't get anyone to play as second fiddle to Kane who is either good enough or who would do it. Because if they would do it, it's like a catch-22. Whoever would do it would be foolish, so you wouldn't want them because they're not the player you want. And that's actually what Catch-22 is, rather than what people often think it is. Right. And I read the book.
It's about Harry Kane.
It's about Harry Kane, yeah. And then, I don't know. Football's basically wrestling now. And so people don't actually care about the on-pitch stuff. They care about the off-pitch stuff. And Daniel Levy was a good character. He was he was holding them back always. He was always holding them back. Yeah. And yet they've got one of the best stadium I've ever been to in the world. It's like a spaceship. It's amazing. And they've always been sort of floating about with it. Yeah, they finished 17th, but like, what are you going to do? And they won the Europa League. That's good. I mean, Daniel Levy had nothing to do with that. He was giving them money. They were selling some nonsense. Seemed to be pretty put together. Yeah. Now they're going to be really good now that he's gone. Yeah. But they also don't get taken for a ride in the transfer market. Yeah. You got to think about that. Because when you go to like, if I was going to negotiate with Man United for a player, I'd be like, I'm going to get at least £100 for this.
£100?
Yeah, for a Mars bar.
For a Mars bar.
Yeah, although I realised I was just going over like an old sketch I did once. But like, yeah, that's the thing. I did a sketch ages ago where you go into the shop and Ed Woodward would try and buy a Mars bar and you'd say, I suspect that's probably worth about £80. And the shopkeeper obviously says, oh yes, that's correct. It is £80. Yeah, and so on. So he tries to buy things he doesn't know what they cost. They get overcharged for everything. Not at Spurs, right? Daniel Levy knows the cost of a pint of milk. So I don't know what a pint of milk is. Right. Do you know what a pint of milk is?
Do I know what a pint of milk is?
How much it costs?
Oh, right. No. But then
so out of touch.
But then I'm a vegan.
Oh,
I'm
maybe not.
not really, but I don't drink milk really.
How much does the Crunch tuna baguette cost from Pret?
Oh, hundreds of pounds, I think. At least that's what my bank account says at the end of the month. I don't know. Yeah, it's not a crunch. I don't know why you always say it's crunch.
Tuna Crunch?
It's not crunch.
It's called that, isn't it?
It isn't called that. It's called pole line caught tuna.
Specifically pole line caught.
Yeah. You're always talking about tuna crunch.
They're not catching it on a pole line.
I think they are.
They're just dragging them out of the sea.
No, that's why when you go into Pret, you always see a different person behind the till. Because
Oh, a different fisherman each time.
the last one you saw is back out with a pole.
How you like a tuna? I
That's
caught
right.
this morning.
Yeah, and then tell me about how they make the posh pickle. You know, they have to getting the cheese and going, ooh.
Well, that's the man who's got a monocle and a hat behind the thing.
Yeah,
Oh, good day, sir.
the Monopoly man.
Yes,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
good
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of characters that you want in the Premier League to give you entertainment.
That's
and
true.
now one of the best ones is gone.
Yeah, I guess so. I feel like we've been extraordinarily positive about Daniel Levy so far. Let's give the guy some. Come on.
Oh, can I pay him one more compliment? The best compliment I could, and it actually links to what both of you were saying, was that
How could it possibly link to what JJ just said?
Only once have I been to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium,
Right.
In its sort of current form,
Yeah.
and the crumble in the press area was
crumble?
restaurant quality.
Daniel Levy
crumble.
cooked it, I think.
I think it was with his own bare hands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it
What was the fruit
genuinely-
in the crumble?
It was, I think it was like a rhubarb,
rhubarb crumble.
with a crumble on top.
Nice.
And I must say, I was hungover on that day, and it sorted me right out ahead of Tottenham Hotspur against
All the
Aston
food at
Villa.
Spurs is unbelievable.
It's so,
Chelsea
so
as
good.
well.
It
The
is
food
good.
there is ridiculously
So
good.
good.
Do we
Yeah.
need to explain for our international listeners what a crumble is? It's a very British
Is it-
dessert.
is it-
Cobbler,
is
isn't
it
it?
British?
In America.
A cobbler.
Is that not the same thing? Like
Is
a
it?
Peach cobbler is the same
A
thing.
cobbler
as
is
a
someone who fixes
crumble?
your shoes.
Yeah, but in America, it's a dessert.
Really?
Yeah.
America's such a funny place. Why do they have shoe fixing desserts? What could possibly motivate them? America. Anyway, come on, let's stir some up.
They should have signed some better players.
They should have.
He's
signed
held
some-
them back for
He's
years.
held them back.
Yes.
What
What is
else?
the point of having money if not to spend it, huh?
Exactly.
Oh, we're going to have loads and loads and loads of it. What are you going to do with it then?
Some criticism would be that they played it too safe, that they had a lot
Exactly.
more room, financial room to play within.
I think
and they
there's
didn't
anything
do
we've
it.
learned from teams like Leeds who collapsed financially after going too much, or Man United who now struggle to compete at any sort of level at all.
Yeah.
You should just spend all the money on nonsense.
No, you've gone back to the other
Oh, I see.
argument now.
He sold Gareth Bale. What was he thinking?
That's true.
And he didn't spend any of that money except when he did on like 8 different players
7.
who are all like highly rated.
Oh, that's a fun
potential
game.
kids.
Okay, quick. Name the 7 players that were bought by Spurs after they sold Gareth Bale.
Vladimir Kirikis.
That's one. Is it? Let me just
Yeah,
check.
it is.
Christian Eriksen.
Yes.
Eric Lamela.
Eric Lamela, yes.
Etienne Capoue.
Are you looking at my computer screen?
I am not. I'm looking into your eyes.
Good.
I want to say Bentaleb.
Bentaleb's not there. But I know why you've said that. Yeah, feels right.
Yeah.
Yunus Kabul.
Yunus Kabul way predated Gareth Bale.
When was the last time you thought of him though?
I mean, actually fairly recently because he had a big old head, that guy. I love that guy with his big head.
Okay.
Was Soldado in that?
Soldado was in there, I believe. Yes, he was. Roberto Soldado. That's only 4.
Mark said Ericsson. Did you count Ericsson?
Oh, no, that's 5. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay. Missing 2.
Chadley.
Chadley was number 6.
Yes.
Well done.
And number 7 only had 1 name, except he probably
Sandro.
probably had 5.
Paulinho.
Paulinho. Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Paulinho. Yeah.
Good knowledge.
That was
Of
good.
those, Christian Eriksen was pretty good, wasn't he? And Eric Lamela was quite funny.
Good player. Scored that lovely. What's the
Rabona.
thing? Rabona. Yeah.
Rabona.
Sorry, I can't roll my R's.
Thank you. Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like we shouldn't move on before someone says something.
I can talk negatively about Daniel Levy for a
hold
bit.
on.
If you want me to.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Is that all we have to say about Daniel Levy?
It is not.
Oh, what else is there?
There's other stuff. There's another side to him.
Yeah.
I think the
An
criticism,
evil side.
An evil side. What JJ is saying is right in terms of they did spend money, but the frustration of a lot of Spurs fans is I think they have the lowest wages to revenue turnover, or whatever the wording of that thing is that we've all seen. the
Wages
graph
to
on the
turnover
Athletic.
ratio.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And
Which the Premier League
You should
says,
always spend
like,
as much as you can.
The Premier-
If anything, you should spend more than you take in. I think.
The Premier League says like 70% is the target to aim for,
They're like-
the healthy target, which
Yeah.
which basically means 70% of the money that you make in revenue as a football club that goes back out on the wages for the players. That's a healthy average. Lots of teams 5 or 6 years ago, that particularly in the bottom half of the Premier League, were up towards like 90. There were a couple of teams that were like way over 100% who were spending more on wages than they were actually making. But I don't know historically what Spurs has been, but I'll find out while you talk.
I think they are the lowest in the Premier League. So I think there's the feeling that they could spend more money if they wanted to. I know they haven't chosen to, but a lot of the criticism of Levy is for all him being a good negotiator in the transfer market. There's also a frustration that sometimes that has sort of forced Spurs out of players. So a good example is the Eze deal earlier in the summer, where I think, go on, have you got the stat ready there? Or?
According to Chris Weatherspoon of The Athletic,
yes.
Spurs' wages to turnover ratio, it's the lowest among Europe's elite. Just to put this into context, Aston Villa, 91.4%. Another random club, Chelsea, 72%. Manchester United, surprisingly low, 55%, but then that's, I guess, because they make a lot of revenue. Tottenham, 42%. Incredibly low. It's incredibly low. Yeah. Please continue.
So Daniel Levy, his brashness often with other Premier League chairmen and executives in negotiations, I think did cause issues when it came to the transfer market. And if you look at modern day transfers, relationships are quite important. And so the Eze deal, for example, Steve Parish, Crystal Palace, had a really good relationship with Tim Lewis at Arsenal. That helped smooth the deal, and it was done very quickly. And I think there's maybe a bit of a bad rep sometimes that Daniel Levy had when it came to Premier League transfers, which in the modern day, a lot of the best players are in the Premier League. You're trying to buy players from the Premier League. And
maybe in this way, it's like, even if it wasn't a bad relationship, it was just difficult, right? So let's say, for example, it's like the equivalent of thinking, I've had a long day at work. I'm either going to go home and spend an hour cooking a healthy meal that I probably will enjoy and will be good for me, or I'm going to order a delicious greasy takeaway, which is it's going to cost more money, and it's going to make me poop like crazy, but it will come quickly, and it's what I want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Daniel Levy is the healthy meal.
Yes.
And who is the Arsenal guy?
Tim Lewis is the Nando's. Yeah, I quite like Nando's, personally. I think a lot of Spurs fans probably like Nando's too.
Sure.
And there's a feeling, I don't want to speak for the majority of the Spurs fan base, but yeah, Nando's is pretty universal.
I've never been to Nando's.
You've never had a Nando's in your life?
I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, yeah.
They've actually got pretty good vegetarian stuff.
Yeah, but why would you ever go in there if you were a vegetarian?
Because you're with people who aren't vegetarian.
Well, I'm not, ever.
But you know people who aren't vegetarian.
But are you vegetarian?
No,
but have we ever been near a Nando's?
You're never too far from a Nando's, Joe.
No, but have we ever thought, like, let's go to Nando's?
I have, often.
Yeah, but have you ever thought that with me?
Probably, almost certainly, yeah.
Have you ever thought about taking me to a Nando's?
Yes.
No, that's not true.
I think I have. Just to see what you think.
Well, I'll never go there.
Do you think the American audience would know what a Nando's is with that?
I don't want them to know.
They all know what that is.
Yeah?
I don't want them to know anyway. I want them to, even if they didn't know, I want them to be in the dark and guess what a Nando's is.
Wow, it's everything you think and more.
It's become like a meme for the UK where people go to Nando's and they're always like, this is rubbish.
Right.
Is what the Americans do.
Because you have to serve yourself.
Well, I think that's not unheard of.
No.
But
you have to do it at home.
It's talked about like it's some like amazing. They was like, oh my god, we're gonna go for a cheeky Nando's,
right?
And then it's like, this is not cheeky at all.
No,
and I also have to get it myself.
You have to get it yourself. Yeah.
Daniel Levy's negotiating style was quite cheeky at times.
Yeah,
and that proved to be an issue.
Yeah, although in the analogy, he wasn't the Nando's, so it's fallen apart a little bit now. It doesn't matter.
The best negotiator in that regard must be Cheeky Begiristain. Because
the cheekiest
of the clues in the title.
Yes.
Nominative determinism from old Man City CEO.
Oh dear.
No? Too far.
No, I like it. No, I like that one. No, it was good. It was never too far. It's never too far. Hey, JJ, what have you made of Spurs so far this season, though, right? Like, because now they're without Daniel Levy. I don't know if it's going to make any difference to what's happening. I mean, certainly we won't see any meaningful difference until presumably the next transfer window.
Well, as we all know, he controls what all the players do on the pitch at all times.
Right.
So the reason they finished 17th is because he was there. Now he's gone.
Yeah.
That would never have happened.
Right.
Even though it's happened.
The thing is, I know you don't actually care about Daniel Levy, but you're making it sound so hard.
Sometimes it's good to take a stance.
Yeah.
You need strong opinions. No one's got opinions anymore.
Have you just randomly chosen to have a strong opinion about Daniel Levy?
I don't know.
Because everything you say, it sounds so snarky.
From time to time, I find that I do naturally choose to be contrarian.
Right.
Counterculture.
Please go ahead.
That's what I am.
Yeah. What about... Oh, my chair went down. What about... Okay. What about Spurs on the pitch, though? They
Well,
they've been quite good so far, but then they weren't good.
if you just spent some more money, they'd probably be better. But I think I was really, really, really impressed with them against PSG in the Super Cup. So it was the first time I saw them this season. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. And they played with like this energy and aggression and spike that I'd not seen Spurs have probably ever, really.
Wow.
And I'm probably going too much there, but I really thought they were thoroughly impressive. And they let 2 goals away, right? And Thomas Frank gave what's the line? The operation was successful, but the patient died. Yeah. So there you go. I like that one. And then I thought they were great against Burnley, but it was Burnley. So what are you going to say about that, And then, of course, they then beat Manchester City. So impressive, like really impressive in all of those, to the point where I'm like, I've got this wrong with my prediction. I think maybe they could do something special. Maybe they're the surprise team this year. Like one misses out, and maybe it's actually probably Man City is the one that misses out. I think much less of them now. And they're very good. But then against Bournemouth, they lost 1-0. It's only one game. You can't just change your predictions week to week as well. I do. And but
John was pretty keen on Bournemouth just having an excellent game plan as well. So I wonder if in the grander sense of time we might see that as not an anomaly because it was intentional, but not the ordinary result.
Well, I think Bournemouth do really well against big teams, and because of how they play out of possession, they're really, really good. Like I've been watching back the Bournemouth game this morning, and it looks like they just press so well and have the man-to-man, and Spurs just can't keep the ball, and they're trying to move players out the way so they can progress it. But when if geopolitical moves out wide to receive the ball and build up, then all of a sudden everyone else is marked anyway. So it doesn't matter, he's gone free, because what's he going to do? Launch it long? Yes. Mm-hmm. And then Richarlison can't take it down. So then they get stuck. But they almost went ahead in the first 30 seconds, Spurs. Yeah. And then after that, Bournemouth get into it. And once Bournemouth have the lead, then they've got a bit of an advantage because the game state changes, and that's, you can play very defensively with it, but they're aggressive with it. But Bournemouth will do that to loads of teams this season. They almost got Liverpool at the start of the season. Antonio Raiola is amazing. And so it hasn't changed my opinion of them, because having watched the game, when you see the result, you're like, oh, there they go, Spurs are back, But having actually watched the game, you think, well, Bournemouth are just really impressive. And every team in the Premier League is now so good, especially out of possession, that if you can get a small advantage like a goal, then you can basically get something out of them. Yeah. But I think Thomas Frank has changed them. It sounds stupid, but it changed the attitude, the feeling about them. They suddenly don't feel like a pushover. Same way we're talking about Man United being a pushover in the transfer window, and Spurs not being. It feels like Spurs are now really. You don't want to play against them. I think they'd be hard to play against.
Okay. Do you agree, Mark Carey? Do you look at them and think, they might do quite well this season?
Yeah, for the reason that JJ said as well, I think that their willingness to adapt, which is obviously a thing under Ange Postecoglou, where he was so dogmatic at times that you're like, well, as an opposition analyst, I can read exactly what they're going to do. Vicario is always going to play a short pass, so we can press really high and we can try and win it high and force them into mistakes. As JJ mentioned as well, the contrast between the PSG game and the Burnley game is that Vicario went really long against PSG because they knew that they couldn't outplay PSG's press, and they played it really short against Burnley because they knew that they had the ability and the players to be able to do it. So even those 2 games alone were sort of evidence, as we know from Thomas Frank, that he's willing to adapt to the opposition, but also be flexible, whether it's in formation, still sort of keeping the broader principles, but they can change their style accordingly. Mm-hmm. I also watched the Bournemouth game back, and I think it was, to JJ's point as well, a little bit of both, where it was Bournemouth being really strong, but Spurs, they just couldn't build out from the back row. They're really ponderous in possession. And again, as JJ said, that it would often be Palhinha or sometimes Rodrigo Bentancur would come between the centre-backs. The centre-backs would go really wide, and it's quite common that they're doing that now as well. Sometimes Vicario will be the one in the centre, and the centre-backs will go really wide to try and stretch the opposition so they've got more distance to cover to try and sort of break the press. But Bournemouth are just so athletic and fast, and they just sort of pinned Spurs back that then it forced Bentancur or Palhinha to drop between the two, to create a bit of a back three. But then when either of them had the ball, they were looking to try and visit into midfield. And because the midfielder has come into the back line, they were like, oh, we've got no one there. So they were pinging it into Richarlison. The ball just wasn't sticking at all. I've got my own opinions on Richarlison. I think he's good out of possession, but I think he's just not very good at holding the ball up, linking the play. He's not a very potent striker as well.
Did you nearly say rubbish?
It
looked like you were going to say
synonyms for the word rubbish. I'm just going
rubbish
about it in a bit of a roundabout way. I just took the A road to basically say he's rubbish. No, I don't think he's all that good.
Sure.
But they were just coming unstuck so repeatedly. And I think that, injuries do come into it. If they had any one of Maddison, Kulusevski or Simons playing, they could be that person to kind of drop in, find a little pocket and then kind of progress. But they just weren't able to get it through the thirds. So they were forced to kind of go into Richarlison. That wasn't sticking. Bournemouth sort of start a new wave of attack and it just kind of kept happening.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a bit of both. I think it was Bournemouth playing really well, but that is kind of, if nothing else, that might be a blueprint for other teams now to be like, well, this is kind of how you get Spurs. Yes, they can be a bit of a Swiss Army knife at times. They can go long, they can play short, but that was kind of evidence that they were a bit ponderous at times. And
we've all predicted our Premier League tables, but I don't know. I'm not sure if you have. I'd love to hear where you think Spurs are going to finish before we move on.
I haven't actually got a prediction. I haven't written one down, I don't think. I'm also not, I don't know if I'm going to go full John McKenzie here, but I'm not in the market really for predictions at this stage. I don't know.
Hold on, let me just ask you again. Where do you think Spurs are going to finish in the Premier League this season, Mark Carey?
7th.
Oh, it's so easy. Just ask the same question twice. 7th. I think that's a good guess.
Plucked it out of nowhere.
I think that's a good guess, though. Just based on 3 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any other doctors of
Name
science.
6 other Premier League teams
who are going to finish above Spurs.
Okay, well, listen, because it's an international break, and obviously we don't want to talk about international football, we thought we would take this opportunity to reflect on 3 games of the season, Mark Carey. Just 3, by the way. So you aren't allowed to have another opinion, just to be absolutely clear. As a data scientist yourself, you're now banned from this conversation. But I am curious if anyone has any strong opinions about any team after watching 3 games. Be that I thought ahead of the season this was going to be the way that it is, and it is this way. I stake my claim to this prediction. Or here's a team, we just talked about one with Spurs, for example. Here's a team that we thought perhaps from the end of last season might struggle, and yet they've been relatively impressive in unexpected ways so far. Who wants to go first and throw a team at me?
I think Aston Villa are in a bit of trouble.
Right.
And I also think Man City are not the team I thought they were going to be. And I can tell you exactly why with Man City.
Okay. Do you want to start with them?
Yeah. They don't have a superstar creator anymore.
Right.
I know that boy Cherki's come in and he looks decent and does little magic things, but he's not like Riyad Mahrez.
Right.
He's not.
Mahrez, not Kevin De Bruyne.
Well, this is the thing. So City, it's weird, right? When they signed De Bruyne, it was for a lot of money. When they signed Mahrez, it's for a lot of money. But you don't really think of them as being superstars because they're not like these super famous celebrities in the front of like video games or do you know what I mean by that? They're just they're not like superstar. They're not Leo DiCaprio.
No.
So if they could sign him, but then if you sign these super players, I'm thinking like even like Benjamin Sesko at Man United feels like one of those because everyone's talking about him. But not everyone was talking about Kevin De Bruyne. You sort of knew he was good.
Yeah.
You heard about him a bit.
Well, also when Manchester City scored and won trophies, it's because the team were amazing. Kevin De Bruyne was often the best player in the team, but he wasn't so much better than the others that he stood out.
I know. I think he was.
I mean, he was.
This is the thing. So him and David Silva, like unbelievable players that like I think even now are underrated, and you look back and be like, oh my god, they were amazing properly.
Yeah.
And so without De Bruyne, it just changes everything in that team. He would make them win so many games. He'd come into a game and he'd change the way the game feels.
Why is it that he doesn't have the status of Xavi and Iniesta? He won a treble with Manchester City. He was clearly, for a couple of years at least, the best player in the world of all of his contemporaries. We all knew it. We were talking about it at the time. But for some reason, he doesn't have the same kudos that Iniesta and Xavi had, even when they were still playing. You could make the argument that it's in retrospect we say that about that Barcelona team. I think people were saying that at the time.
Is it the aesthetics? I've had this conversation with almost comparing it with Florian Wirtz as well, where like if you actually watch his highlights reel, it's not that he's doing something like majestic, like a step over or a no-look pass. Iniesta is so unbelievable on the ball and he's got players around him. He wriggles out of trouble. But De Bruyne was kind of that player where it's just like he just did the right thing always.
You know, it's a bit like Wayne Rooney. So he would drive with the ball. There's no like, it doesn't look like there's any particular skill to it. And yet there is like flawless execution of everything.
Yeah.
So like close control, perfect. Every touch, perfect. When he's driving with the balls, you can't get close to him. He would drill it from 30 yards with the goalkeeper. He would pass it into the net from a free kick. He did all these sorts of weird things. But you're missing him. But like, I keep going back to Riyad Mahrez. I mentioned it a few times. So there was a season when him and Raheem Sterling were playing like on either side of the wings for Man City, and they scored about like 20 goals each or something like that. Maybe it's a bit more than that or a bit less than that. Don't mind. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But Riyad Mahrez has his like first touch. You could fire the ball out of a cannon directly at him, and he would do whatever he wanted to with it dead. And then you could go from there and progress, and you could win games out of nothing. So when you're playing Guardiola football, and you've got everyone locked down, and you've got players like, Grealish on one side and someone else on the other, just holding the width. Someone's got to come alive and make it work. And in the past, he's had players like, well, obviously Messi, Robben, Ribéry.
It was Tijani Reinders on the first day of the season.
Yeah, but he just had a great individual game through the middle. But I think Reinders looks like a really good player. I don't put him on the same superstar level as like those that you watch David Silva for about 1 second. You're like, this guy's fucking amazing. Like he's amazing. Reinders, like he's really good. I like him. De Bruyne, you're like, oh my god, this guy's amazing. Who
Who is that player now that they should have bought?
I don't know. Their superstar now is Haaland up front.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's
Rodri.
Maybe it was Wirtz.
It's him and Rodri. Wirtz.
No, but who's the player out there that doesn't play for Manchester
Superstar.
City?
Well, I thought it would have been Wirtz. So
Right.
they'd signed him, it would have been it. But they need someone who plays wide. So like Lamine Yamal, that sort of player.
Right.
You can't sign them. I'm not saying they should sign them for a minute before you start like commenting, he can't get him. But like Yamal is the kind of player that you need that can open it up. Like Arsenal have got that young 15-year-old.
Sorry, 1 second.
He can't get him, JJ. Why are you talking about
Well,
him?
exactly.
You can't get Lamine Yamal.
That's right. Arsenal have Bukayo Saka.
You can't get Max Dowman.
Oh, Bukayo Saka. I thought you were talking about Max Dowman.
Well, they have that.
Just based on how often
15-year-old.
Kayo's
Yeah, the
talking
teenage
about.
boy. Yeah, they do. But they do have that. You do have Max Diamond, right? It's coming through. You can tell he's going to be special, right? You can tell straight away.
Can't get him.
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, can't get him. You can't get him. But this is what they have now.
That's Kaya doing it.
But like you need, City have always needed these players in wide areas. Doku is a bag of tricks,
Yeah.
but he doesn't really do anything with the ball.
He accelerates.
He's like the Indiana Jones moment where he just ends up shooting the guy.
Right.
What you need someone who just shoots him rather than just doing all the tricks. But fine player. You wouldn't want to play against him. And then I've forgotten who plays on the right now. Who's even playing on the right?
Oscar Bob is the one. And
I like Bob. He could be it.
He
I was
is
speaking to
good.
Tom Harris about this, who's one of our data boys, Manchester City fan, and he sort of said about this with Oscar Bob, Rico Lewis. I'd probably put Doku in that category as well, where when things are going well, when you kind of 1-0, 2-0 up, they look great. They've got some space. They can do a really good sort of trick or pull something out of the hat. But when you are playing like against a rival, if you like, they're not the sort of players who stand out. But your Silvas and your De Bruynes of this world were the ones who stood out. But when the
Bob's
game
definitely
mattered-
got the ceiling to get there, I think. So like, I can see why Bob would start now because he could become that. But I've seen loads of players play under Guardiola football who do the same sort of thing. I'm thinking like Bojan Krkic back in the day for Barcelona. Do you know, like he looked amazing, but he wasn't that good really.
He was pretty good at Stoke.
Pretty good at Stoke, exactly. But so I think they're missing those players, and that's just part of the problem. I don't think there's this huge issue where they're getting torn apart in counterattacks. That does happen at the moment, but they lack like the real fear that they had, and there's just something about them where I don't think you're as worried about playing them against them anymore as you used to be.
Well,
There's just something about that.
I will say also, we had John on the podcast on Wednesday, and he went on a very long bit at the end about how, I mean, in his words, and usually when I paraphrase John, I make a big meal out of it, but in his words, he said, a few years ago, City were the best out of possession team in the world. Today, they are one of the worst. He said he thought their pressing against, what was the team that they just lost to last weekend? Brighton.
Yeah.
Said their pressing system, their out of possession system against Brighton was completely inexplicable. Like he didn't understand why they were doing it.
So I'm breaking
at
it down
all.
on Twitter. It was interesting, yeah.
Terrifying. So with that, plus what you're saying, I do feel like maybe you shouldn't have picked them to win the league in your predictions.
No, and this is the thing, because he's always got it right, Guardiola, and he always gets them there in the end. And they tend to be better in the second half of the season as well. But I just think they're not maybe what I thought they were going to be. And I'm finding it hard to separate my previous biases and what I've seen before with what I'm seeing in front of me.
I mean, did you think they were going to be 13th after 3 games?
Yes, I knew that would happen.
Oh, in which case?
Oh, no, I didn't.
No.
Or did I?
I don't know. Well, listen, we'll carry on with this conversation in a while because, Kaya, we've not heard from you.
I've been speaking about loads, yeah.
But for now, let's play the separate. There's something funny about just breathing into the mic.
Again, a real one for our audio listeners there who have no idea what you're doing.
I'm just breathing into the mic.
But the hands.
No, don't worry about the hands. The separation game. Oh, I'm playing it today. Right, okay. I'm Ruben as we play the separation game. Because Ruben's not here today. So here we go. Okay, don't look at my computer, Kai. Don't look at my computer.
Eyes are shut.
Now, as we've spoken already about Daniel Levy leaving his role at chairman. Steve, you've written this in such a bad way.
I'm really not.
I'll read exactly what you've...
Yeah.
As we've spoken about already, Daniel Levy has left his role at
There's a
Tottenham.
comma in there.
The comma's poorly placed. It's a poorly placed comma. I know what you want me to say. You want me to say it like this. You want me to go, as we've spoken about already, Daniel Levy has left his role as Tottenham chairman, full stop. Double line break. Double line break, audience. It's a role he held from February 2001 until this month. Double line break. Levy took up this position. Is this what you want the podcast to be? You want me to just read exactly what you've written in the plan? This is disgusting, Steve. Levy took up his position during the 2000//2001.
I realise I've not written the word season there.
You've got the word season there, Steve. Spurs would finish 12th that season. This is very long. Starting with George Graham as manager and ending the campaign with club legend Glenn Hoddle at the helm. Anchoring the midfield for Tottenham that season. This is such a weird roundabout way of just saying German international Stefan Freund. Stefan Freund. Yeah? That's where we're going to start today, is with Stefan Freund and 5 lines of unrelated to each other copy. You have to get from today, you have to get from today Stefan Freund all the way to Victor Moses. Victor Moses. Stefan Freund to Victor Moses. Now, we'll give you a few minutes to do that while we have a commercial break. And you, listener at home, enjoy those ads. And we're back from the break to a very, very sad Kaya Kainak and a, would you say, less sad JJ Bull. But a delightfully happy Mark Carey, who tells me that he has the answer. The answer, of course, to the question, find a route between Stefan Freund and Victor Moses. Now, Mark, how many connections do you claim to have made this in?
I claim 2.
Oh, he claims 2. Very exciting. Kaya, what were you working on? Were you working on something that could have been a 2 or less?
Let's go with a 2.
No, Kaya wasn't anywhere near. And JJ, how about you?
I thought I had a 1.
You thought a 1?
Yeah, but I could make it a 2 by adding just one player to the end of that, but it's not. It's a less ideal way.
Sure, it's not the sort of purest route.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, Mark Carey, I'll leave it to you. Please tell me how you get from Stefan Freund to Victor Moses.
Do I automatically win if I just give you my 2?
If it's correct, then yes.
Okay. So Stefan Freund played for Borussia Dortmund in the German Bundesliga. Among many other seasons, he played with Jens Lehmann.
Oh.
And Jens Lehmann played for Arsenal Football Club of the Premier League. And with that, he played with Cesc Fabregas. And Cesc Fabregas played with Victor Moses.
Fair. Yeah.
So Jens Lehmann and Cesc Fabregas.
I'm going to say, though...
Goalkeeper.
Oh, is that the rule?
Do you know what? It's completely allowable. No, it's allowable.
Yeah.
It's just a chuff's way of winning. That's all that it is.
It's
I've
like
won
if
by
you,
goalkeeper many a time.
It's like if you buy a mirror, but there's like a small little... line in it that only you know about, you know?
Yeah.
Just, it's never really
away
clean.
Exactly.
Have you ever heard of a chode?
Okay.
That's you, sir. Is that allowed, Steve?
Jesus.
No, it's absolutely fine. Technically, it's a victory, but it goes down with a little asterisk, and then where you see the asterisk context at the bottom, it says Mark Carey's not that. Hold on. Sorry for a second.
Nope.
And then when you see the asterisk is written out elsewhere, it says, Mark Carey used the goalkeeper.
Okay.
You know,
Good to know for future.
Well, there you go. But well done. Congratulations for playing.
Thank you.
Steve Hankey also had a possible route in 2 here for Stefan Freund to Victor Moses. Stefan Freund, as you note, played at Borussia Dortmund alongside Paul Lambert. Remember Paul Lambert, of course, in the 96-97 season. They were Champions League winners that season. You'll remember. I mean, you might not remember.
Not old enough, but I am aware.
Yeah. You don't remember. Later on, Paul Lambert was, of course, the captain of the Celtic side that lost the 2003 UEFA Cup final to Jose Mourinho's Porto. Yeah? Steve's also going to try and claim this is context as well, necessary context.
Rich narrative.
It's rich narrative. That final was decided by the short-lived silver goal, which did a Tifo short on that.
We did.
Yeah, the silver goal. What a stupid idea. Anyway, Paul Lambert played in that final for Celtic alongside Sean Maloney, and Maloney played for Wigan Athletic alongside Victor Moses in the 11-12 season. I'll give it to you, Steve. Apart from all the rich narrative, that was a delightful route.
Thank you.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. I think Steve might be the real winner, although worth saying he did sit at home and write this over presumably quite a long period of time.
Several hours.
Can I give my not quite legit one?
Please do.
Stephen Freund played with Matthew Etherington at Spurs.
Nice.
Who is at Stoke.
1 season out.
Yeah.
I went down the Matthew Etherington route.
Yeah, so there's one season, it's like 24-15 is when Moses, I think, joined Stokes as one off. So I just put Ryan Shotcross
So close.
in there. Yeah.
The main thing we're learning, though, I guess, is that Mark also took that route and then found another way of making it work afterwards.
I started going down a Celtic route with Robbie Keane, but didn't get there.
The Keane Celtic route.
Yeah.
I went a different route to also not getting there.
Really?
Yes.
Could you go a different route to getting in front of your microphone? What do you think?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, I went a different route to also not getting there. And it was via Anthony Gardner,
Right.
who was at Spurs and ended up at Palace in 2011.
Sure.
So Moses left there in 2010.
Absolutely.
And then I couldn't find a bridge player.
Oh.
Probably could have, but yeah.
You probably could have. Knowing you would have picked a goalkeeper. Now, okay, let's carry on. We were talking, of course, you'll remember, about after 3 games played of the Premier League season, who we like, who we don't like, predictions we made that have been dismayed already, or teams that have surprised us. Akaya, did you want to pick up on anything that JJ said about Manchester City, or would you like to move on to your own fair point?
I'd just like to echo everything JJ said
Right.
about Manchester City.
Yeah.
And
Because he agrees, I now no longer think that.
What about that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
The rest, I like relegation this year.
Oh. You like relegation?
I like it. I think it's going to be a lot more exciting. It's been a while since we had like a proper relegation scrap.
It's been 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
And that's too long. And I like good old relegation scrap.
Yeah, you like the fear of pain and economic despair.
Yes.
You like it when people are afraid.
Yes, I like teetering over the edge.
Yeah.
Not quite falling over it, but yeah, sort of just being right there. It's the thrill.
Oh, that sounds like an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Teetering on the edge, just a victory rather than
relegation. Yeah. Exactly. Without any thrill a lot of the time when you watch them. But yeah, I think relegation this year is really, really interesting because in previous seasons, there's been like obvious candidates every single time to go down. Yeah. This year, there is no obvious candidate. We've discussed this briefly, I think, on previous podcasts, but I'm just relaying that again.
Do you know who the current bottom 3 are after 3 games?
Ooh. Wolves are the only team who haven't got a point.
Yeah, that's true. They're on bottom.
They're on bottom.
Yeah.
Man City are 13th, so it's not them.
Not them, but they could be there. They're only 1 point off 18.
Really?
Technically, they are. I mean, it's only been 3 games.
Voice went very high there. Aston Villa.
Aston Villa are 19th with 1 point.
And then I don't know.
It's just Fulham.
Oh,
that's why you don't know.
Okay.
Because no one would know.
Fulham's the one John forgot when naming the 20 teams. As well.
Sadly, we have no time to talk about Fulham today.
No, it's a real shame every week. But Villa was one of the teams that JJ suggested. I mean, they've had an awful start to the season, haven't they?
Yeah.
Really troubling.
I think the signings they've made towards the end of the window don't exactly scream that this is a team who has a clear plan to get out of the rut that they're clearly in. Obviously, there's the PSR stuff hanging over them, and if only they just spent some more money, JJ, they wouldn't be in any more problems. But I think
they've got Europa League coming up as well. Really soon. They're hosting Bologna in a couple of weeks' time, and they're away to Feyenoord relatively soon after that as well. So it's all coming for them, JJ. A bit of a more straightforward run though. You'll remember so far in the Premier League season, they have drawn 0-0 in one of the most boring opening Premier League games I've ever seen against Newcastle. That was a real tough old watch. Then they lost 1-0 away to Brentford. Bit surprising because we also had talked about Brentford as a possible relegation candidate. And then they lost 3-0 at home to Crystal Palace, which is very, very concerning, I would say.
I think the problem with Aston Villa is that they've lost the momentum. I think we talked about this before maybe, but when that referee decision that didn't give them the goal against Man United happened, that might have irreparably damaged their future for the next...
Last season?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you remember that goal?
No.
On the final day?
On the final day of the season, Villa just needed to, I think it was draw to stay in the Champions League, something like that. Maybe making that up. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong with that bit, as I often am. But what I think is that there was a goal that they had ruled out because the boy kicked the ball out of the goalkeeper's hands and then scored, and it was fair. It was legit. But the referee blew his whistle because it looked like a foul. You got to protect the goalkeepers, you know?
Right.
And when that happened, they now no longer have the lead, which they can protect, and then it's Man United, you can beat them. And so they don't have that advantage anymore, and suddenly Man United get galvanised and they managed to beat them. But that meant they missed out on Champions League football by one place.
Yeah.
What was
they seed it to? Was it Newcastle?
Newcastle, yeah.
Yeah. So they finished level on points with Newcastle last season for 5th place. They had the worst goal difference. So if they just had one extra point, they would be in the Champions League, which would immediately change their budgets, which would immediately change their wage to turnover thingy, you know?
Yeah.
And they could attract different players, because you can go to Aston Villa, who will be battling for the Europa League every season forever, or Aston Villa, who are in the Champions League now with an amazing manager who might just be able to take them up those next few steps. And that group of players that he's had together for a while, well, boy, howdy, they're getting the rewards for all their hard work. But now they don't get the rewards for their hard work, and instead they've got to do it all over again. And they've already had like the spirit kicked out of them by that referee decision. Yeah. And it's probably hard to get that going.
It's all down to that one thing.
It's a narrative that fits this very well, and it probably is not true. And if they just win the next game, they'll be like, oh, they're fine.
Well, they got some tough games coming up, I want to say, because this weekend they're away to Everton, who've started the season tremendously strongly, who are perhaps the inverse form team. We're going to talk about them on today's episode. They are then away to Brentford, who they recently lost to in the EFL Cup. They are then away to Sunderland, who, again, another team that are thriving on a little bit of momentum, having been promoted this season and winning a game, playing quite well. Then they have their Europa League ties, and it's the 28th of September before they've got a tasty home affair against Fulham, which I'm sure they'll win. Fulham.
But what if Fulham are upper mid-table by then you'll think that's a hard game. Every game's difficult, Premier League. They're all so good out of possession now. Everyone's a massive unit. It's impossible to play against any of them.
Yeah.
I've said this before, that I think there is such a thing as season state. So the momentum that a team can build if it's the start of the season, just by proxy of the fixture computer, that you can fully dictate at least the first half of a season to be like, well, they're the informed team. So then
I completely agree.
And it's all like the Manchester United example. There's so much that we can control, the coaches think they can control in football, but there's so much that's just random and so much that is to do with momentum and narrative and everything that goes with it, where I don't think Unai Emery's job would ever be kind of at risk this season, certainly. But there's a lot of managers in seasons gone by who has purely based on the teams that they've played in quick succession. And it just shows how much randomness there is.
The best way I can always think to relate it to like normal people is like if you're playing a video game, if you're playing like FIFA or Football Manager, it takes forever to go through a whole season now, right? So imagine you go through 38 games. You've tried playing Football Manager a few times, right? It takes forever.
It takes forever to even for the game to start.
Right, so then you get through, imagine you do 38 games. This could take you, if you're playing it every day, it could take you a long time, right?
Sure,
to get through a whole season.
Yeah.
And if it's just like one thing goes wrong at the end of like all that time, and you're like, I've got to go through it all again just to try and get a chance to get to the last boss again.
Oh, hey man, I've been alive. I mean, I know you're talking about life, my guy.
Well, I guess
you don't need a video game analogy for this one.
Actually,
have you been alive? Yes. Have bad things happened that have unwritten things?
Did you
that came
ever
before?
play the Lion King game on the Mega Drive?
No.
So there was no. It's like save and load again. So kids maybe don't know this, but like if you're playing old games on the old Sega Mega Drive, whatever. Oftentimes there's no save option. So
there were no memory cards.
You can't load in. You've got to play the whole game from start to finish.
That was my problem with the Jurassic Park game on the SNES.
Oh, I completed that as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
I never completed it.
I completed a lot of games like this Lion King one that apparently was really hard to do because I was so cool. And the Lion King one's really hard, right? But you get to the end and the last boss is kind of hard, as I recall correctly.
Is it Scar?
It's Scar, yeah.
Or Jeremy Irons, we should say.
Well, exactly. But you get to battle Jeremy Irons in the final boss, much like Villa had to beat Man United as the final boss in the last game of the season. Yeah. And if you lose, that's like your entire day. Yeah. You've not gone outside to play football or like, I don't know, cycle about or do everything fun. And you're like, well, what was the point? And then do you want to play the game again? Not really.
A good video game analogy for this these days would be, have you ever played old school RuneScape?
No.
I mean, do you guys know what RuneScape is?
heard of it. I must admit, I'm not a gamer.
I think it was one of the
same.
first MMORPGs. I used to play it as a child when I was like, in the early 2000s, late 90s. And anyway, there was the game continued to evolve into the 2000s, 2010s. They made a new version of it, which was a 3D version. And then some fans were like, "Hang on, we preferred the old one, which was just point and click, and it was sort of almost top down. It was such a fantastic game, very unlike all these other big online multiplayer video games." And the company, Jagex, I think they were called, they found an old hard save of the game from 2007. And there were enough people that wanted it that they released a version called Old School RuneScape, which today, now, despite what it looks like, how janky it is, how weird it is, it's more popular than the actual game. It's a fantastic game. There's a mode in that called Hardcore Iron Man, where you can't trade with any other players. You can't have any help. You have to do the whole game as a single player. And if you die once, you lose your hardcore status. So there are players who've maxed out the game, who've got to 99 in every skill. Takes thousands and thousands of hours to do this without dying once. Very incredible,
Yeah.
It's the today version of the Lion King game.
I was also thinking when Mark said that, what constitutes being a gamer? Because if you watch loads of films, you're not a filmer, or you're not like a TVer.
But they call you sort of like a cineast, don't they?
Film
A
buff.
cinephile.
Film buff.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then it doesn't seem like to play a game for a certain amount of time would not make you a gamer. It would make you.
It means you like that game.
I think it's when you wear a headset to play it.
Maybe. I've got a headset.
Me too.
yeah. But I think also if you play one game all the time, are you a gamer? I don't think you are. I think you like that game. And I think you have to like a range of games and know quite a lot about gaming in order to be a, quote, gamer, which I am not.
I mean, I don't really like even playing Call of Duty anymore, but I still do it because I get to talk to my pals on it.
Right,
It's not very fun anymore, ever.
I moved house recently, and I was I am temporarily staying between places, so I can't
Under a bridge?
Yeah, under a bridge. So I can't play video games. And I thought when I was moving out, I was like, this is going to be the worst thing that's ever happened. And you know what? It's great.
Yeah, it's so good not
I
having them.
sleep for 8 hours a night. I'm rested. I call my friends now because I'm like, well, I should probably catch up at some point. We're not playing video games anymore, right? It's like it's pretty good. I miss some of the fun.
It does feel like a bit of a waste of time now.
It is.
We're getting older. That's why
it is a waste of time for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. You got to cut that out. Jesus. Anyway, I'm staying in an Airbnb right now. I have to stay there for a month. It's awful. I've got to wait I'm waiting to move into a new place. And I moved in yesterday. And it's such a weird Airbnb. There are crucial items, like everyday ordinary items missing that you would expect would be in any Airbnb. And then there are things that I've never seen before that are so superfluous to necessity. That are there
like what?
provided.
What's an example of that?
Gaming headset.
there's a game. There's incredibly soft pillows everywhere. There's an indoor rug outdoors on a balcony.
I don't mind that.
I'm
just extending the room,
speculating about the cleanliness of the weather and the rain. And
I see.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I have ruined a rug doing that, so yes.
Yeah, I'm uncertain about that. There are a number of kitchen devices that I'm not even certain what they do, but they're of a sort of high spec and quality. I don't know what they make. I've never seen them before, but they're like kitchen robots, But then there's no
microwave.
It's a microwave. There's no iron.
All right.
There's no electric kettle. Like I'm heating the kettle on the hob. It's whistling throughout the day.
That's like cool to do now, though.
Is it? It's annoying.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well,
it takes forever and it's loud.
Can you do things that are old school because it makes you feel more like not playing video games? You suddenly have time to do things. Oh, the old ways were the best.
Yeah, to heat the water on the fire.
Yeah, just put it in a kettle. And I
put
agree.
it in a kettle.
Yeah.
Honestly, get a kettle. There's no iron or ironing board.
If cavemen had a kettle, they'd be like, I'm using that.
They'd use
Not
it.
like, oh, I prefer the way the steam sounds.
True. Yeah.
No,
if
they
they
would
had
not.
an iron, they probably would sometimes still not.
And they could use it to like stove in a tiger's head if it's coming to the cave.
Imagine how many animals you could kill with an iron.
Probably a lot.
So many. Which one would die best, Mark Carey?
That'd be quite good. If you were going to the jungle with two irons that are hot, you could like go and attack.
That's true.
The only thing I was thinking there, this would be a really good segue if you wanted to speak about West Ham.
Does anyone want to speak about West
they're
Ham?
Actually on the.
I'm really
the
struggling to
agenda.
think how we get to Everton from here. If I'm honest, yeah, I'm not.
from an iron to the irons could have been very.
You go
good.
Irons, West Ham, then you go to the David Moyes.
You can't iron toffee. But speaking of toffees,
I reckon you could iron
scenes.
toffee. I'm going to be honest.
you'd ruin the iron. It gets stuck.
Well,
in
yeah, but
the
you-
stickiness.
You can iron anything.
You can iron anything. You know,
Okay.
you could, in theory. Okay, here we go. How about this? We were going to speak about Everton as well. Do you like that as a seg? He's not even looking. Steve, think he's not even looking at me. A bunch of stuff was just cut. We're going to talk about excellent Everton as well, who at this early stage of the season, we know already Liverpool atop, followed by Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham. Next up in fifth, though. Ooh, it's Everton. Did you guess that? From what I was saying, or just from knowing it as a fact. David Moyes has been nominated, of course, for the August Premier League Manager of the Month, a very special honour. And Jack Grealish is amongst the nominees for August's Player of the Month, an equally special honour. Now, also, it's worth saying, with no European football and with the new stadium, Hill Dickinson Stadium, JJ, will the Toffees stick in this lofty position or melt away as the season heats up, writes Steve?
I thought,
No,
I thought you were riffing off the toffee stuff from earlier. I was going to say fair play, well done.
Sadly not. That's what Steve wrote in the plan.
Yeah, I can't praise Steve. I
would
praise
never
Steve.
say that. I would never say that. No. I mean, I read it aloud, but
Yeah, so you did say it in a manner.
I said it
Exactly.
I said it, but I feel instantly cheaper. You know, I feel like I should be now being paid less. You know, Kaya, will the Toffees stick in the mouth, or will they fall out of the mouth?
They've been in some sticky situations over the past few years. They've come very close to relegation quite a lot. They're sticking around in the mouth. I think they're quite chewy this year in a good way. Like sometimes toffee is chewy in a bad way and it gets stuck in your teeth, but sometimes you're like, oh, I'm enjoying the sensation of chewing.
I think it's
this
always
takes me back to my
bad.
childhood memories of toffee.
Really?
But sometimes it gets stuck around in your teeth for too long.
I just worry about losing a filling. Like every time I eat toffee these days, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This is, this is kids'
You
play.
want to relegate yourself to fudge.
I'm 100% happy at fudge. You never need to go north of fudge. Yeah.
Well, Everton would disagree.
But maybe they would.
And they've hardened up this year with a few good transfers. It's actually Everton was like a really interesting case this summer because there was a lot of change going on. It was a big summer of transition upstairs. I think almost every single one of their players was seemingly out of contract or left. I think there was something like 14 in total members of the squad. It was a lot. And they've kept very few of them, and they've brought in, I think, 10 new signings or 9 new signings. A lot of transition. And to have that as well as having the new stadium move is interesting. And I think they've done well to appoint David Moyes as sort of the calm, steady, heady in this situation. He kind of knows what he's doing and has the sort of inbuilt support of the fans from years before. And
Daddy's back at the table.
Daddy is back, and he's brought a bag of toffees with him for all his kids. And the Everton players are feasting.
He went out for cigarettes 15 years ago. When did he leave? When was it? No, 2013. Oh, God, it's not far off.
17, I think.
Christ alive.
Yeah.
No, he left in 2013, right?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. So what's that? That's, why can't I do maths? 13 years ago, 12 years ago. Jesus Christ. Okay, fine. I mean, it feels though as though, Mark, people have a bit of a soft spot for Everton this season. I think there's quite a lot of positive feeling towards them. I ask you as a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to think of another way of saying soft and toffee and combining it, but I'm going to stick to the football. Well, what I think is interesting as well, I mean, that's going to be the prevailing narrative in terms of, Jack Grealish, but the players that they brought in who have made them already so much more potent going forward. And I was looking at the numbers on it in terms of just how strong Everton's foundation was defensively anyway last season. And their expected goals against last season was the fourth lowest, so fourth best of any Premier League sides. The fourth is like, considering that they
were
finished
good defensively.
really strong defensively in terms of the quality of chances that they gave up. So yes, that's the style and the way that they play, so you'd expect that to be the case. But add in a bit of attacking quality, which they were quite toothless. Just this analogy is going too far, but it's true last season from an attacking perspective. But you add in Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, Jack Grealish with Iliman Ndiaye, with Tyler Dibbling, who's just arrived as well, and they've now got potentially real strength in in both sort of boxes, both ends of the pitch. I still think there's a degree to which they could stitch it together in the midfield. I think the midfield is probably the weakest part. But the way that they play stylistically means that they do often bypass the midfield anyway. So I know we were speaking about it at the end of last week, weren't we, JJ, that actually it's sometimes as simple as get all those technical lads close to each other and kind of watch them play.
Yeah, you don't need... someone's asking me, or we're talking about, like, has David Moyes changed Everton's tactics? And I was like, I don't think so. If you just have really good players who are attackers and get them close together, let them do what they want, give them a bit of freedom, with a bit of structure around it, they'll have loads of fun. Like, there's a lot of... All these teams are like robots now. It's like... I don't want to go on a negative rant about what Premier League football is like at the moment, but it is just like, do this, here's your instruction, do that, and everyone has to do their bit. But now you get Grealish and Njai and Dewsbury Hall, they gravitate towards the ball, and they're kind of allowed to. So you've got players who protect other parts of the pitch. So it's not unstructured at all, but you just let them do things that they're good at, and you get a bit of magic and fun. And that's what we've been seeing. And against Wolves, there's a few goals where like Grealish ends up on the right, and then suddenly Njai and Dewsbury Hall on the left, and all of a sudden they're all together on the left, and they rotate to the middle, and it's really fun to watch with that. But also, like Mark's exactly saying, so Jordan Pickford has made the most long passes of any player in the Premier League this season. There's a stat for you, and because he launches it when he can. Yeah. You don't need to mess about with me. I'm an advocate for passing out from the back.
Right.
I'm playing the right way. I like a 4-3-3. That's what I like.
But we don't need to mess about with you.
Yes.
Right.
And also, you don't need to. I don't want to turn into a football man.
Right.
But I am getting older.
I've noticed the older you've got, the more relational you happen to be, you know.
I don't fully understand. I've tried to look into relationism stuff.
I don't fully understand it either, but as I understand...
I think I'm supposed to understand it.
My sort of like meme level enjoyment of that conversation is... if you say, just let the players sort of, you know, with a little bit of structure, let them go, then that's sort of more like what people say is relational. And then whereas like possessional is more the Pep Guardiola style. Positional. Yeah. Yes, sorry. Is more like the Pep Guardiola style of control, you know, like of planning every move. I'm sure that's not like... actually that accurate, but I mean
it is kind of that. It's like you can have strict principles and you always have to stick to these, but the other side does not mean you don't have any structure. There's still things within it, but you get players close together.
You can't do it with any of them. I mean, the argument's silly anyway, right? Because like Pep Guardiola isn't controlling everything that his players do. It's not possible for him to do
exactly. They're not the computer controller. Exactly.
No, yeah.
They're not got a gaming headset on. They're not gamers. They're merely...
I think many of them are gamers.
I think probably. Yeah.
I think a lot of them are gamers. Some of them...
I think of Luis Enrique as a gamer because he wears a headset when he's doing live streams.
Right, yeah.
So it makes me think but he's probably not.
Right.
Anyway, Everton... what the thing I was saying was, so like they just go long, so you don't have to play out from the back and then encourage the press. If everyone's really good at pressing, do you know what you do? You ping it over the top,
right? And
you've got Beto, who's good in the air, takes it down. He's good against Wolves anyway. Take it down, and then you've got those three who close in on it, win the ball, and they can dribble away. And maybe the midfield's probably weak, like with Idrissa Gueye and James Garner. But I like Garner, and I think Gueye's good at breaking up the play, and that's kind of like your basis for every single Football Manager 4-2-3-1 gegenpress that everyone ever plays. You have those two kind of players. Kind of works, functional.
Yeah,
they're all right.
Jack Grealish has been released.
He's been unleashed, I suppose.
Yeah. Released from Everton. Breaking news.
He's unleashed in the jungle with two irons, trying to find things to clamp together. Just like Njai and Dewsbury Hall close together, he's benefiting from that. He's got Mikolenko making overlapping runs. I did a short this morning for the Athletic FC. And in Grealish at City, he'd always been the left wing as he is at Everton, but at City, he's tactically crucial because his job was to hold the width, to like gain territory, to gain position, so you can allow other people to play. And then he might be able to combine, do something magical. But oftentimes he gets the ball, he's got to go back with it and recycle and stay calm and controlled. But not now. Now he can also do that when he needs to, but he can roam inside when he wants to. He gets near the ball when he wants to. He goes where he needs. And he's got a bit more room to run into because Everton have less of the ball than Man City do. So it just seems to suit him a bit more. But it's been 3 games. He might suddenly be garbage after another 2.
Sure.
It's all just...
hot garbage.
Yes.
I think there's a double threat with Grealish as well, is that we know that he can go on the outside and he can sort of do his little dribbly thing, or if he's attracting players towards him, then he can make space for his teammates elsewhere, which was kind of what happened for the James Garner goal, where he had 2 players come towards him. He just laid it back for Garner, who had more space because Grealish has this kind of orbit that attracts other players towards him, which is obviously a positive across the wider team. The other part of that as well is that he's a magnet for fouls. And Everton have got the strongest set-piece threat. They did have the strongest set-piece threat of any side last season. So accounting for opportunity to take set pieces, they scored 5.9 goals per 100 set pieces last season. That was the best of any Premier League side. So even if he does get brought down in those areas, you're giving it to the team who is the strongest, get the big lads up. And you can still talk about the tactical side of it, as we sort of are doing, but to JJ's point as well, sometimes it is just really that simple. And he is actually kind of the perfect player or profile for what Everton need in open play, but also allowing them to maximise the strengths that they have as a team already.
Yeah.
So I think he's filled some gaps and plugged some holes, but he's also adding to their strengths.
It makes sense, doesn't it? If you spend a whole season developing and being concrete and having incredibly high defensive numbers, then really what you need to add is like a make it happen mother, which is what Jack Grealish is, isn't it?
But I think there's this misconception about Moyes that he doesn't like those kind of players, or that he's this defence first coach who sort of plays quite dour football, and I think that's why West Ham eventually decided to move on from him. But if you look at the team he had at West Ham, I've actually got this could be a sort of a name the Conference League final starting 11. If you can name
Jared Bowen
was there.
Lucas Paqueta
Was there.
Antonio.
Yes.
Is it just me doing it? Sorry.
Souček
Am I the only person?
Souček is there.
Soufal.
Soufal's there.
Yeah. What's his name? Vladimir Soufal?
Vladimir, yes.
Vladimir Soufal.
I've just got V Soufal, but yeah.
Zuma. Yeah.
Aaron Cresswell?
No.
Oh, okay.
Different left back who's left this window.
Mark Noble.
Mark Noble, no.
Kevin Nolan.
The modern analogue to Mark Noble at West Ham at the time.
Oh, Scott Parker.
No. Declan Rice.
Declan Rice, of course.
Emerson is the left back, and Naif Agad. But if you look at
that wasn't bad. Can you just say that wasn't bad? Come on, for me, with spotty football knowledge.
Wasn't bad.
Thank you.
That wasn't bad.
Thank you.
But I think if you look at the makeup of that team, the 4-2-3-1 that we've all been talking about in terms of lots of sort of creative players in forward positions and kind of just letting them do their thing. And he did that at West Ham, and it worked really well from there. And he did it before in his first stint at Everton. And I think when he finally gets time at a club, because there was a period between Manchester United obviously going terribly and his sort of re-emergence at West Ham, where he never really got a chance to put his feet under the table at a club. He was really sort of in and out quite quickly at Sociedad and Sunderland. And finally, it seems now he's been given the chance to make a team in his image at Everton, like he did the first time around.
Big time.
Yeah.
Hey, real ones remember Adnan Januzaj's breakout, hey? Anyway, one last thing on Everton, Mark Carey, Tyler Dibbling. He was the biggest financial outlay that Everton made this summer. What do you think of him as a longer-term prospect? Because he's been pretty central to what's occurred thus far.
Yeah, I think he'll offer a lot of attacking balance. You think about Grealish on the left, he'll be really good sort of cutting in from the right onto a stronger foot. So I think that he's good in that regard. He's a really dribbly player. So I think that it will mean that there's not too much skew towards Everton's left side, where you can start to read it, predict it, start to overload players that side.
Yeah.
Defensively.
Read it, predict it was the less successful version of like that Bop It game.
Twist it.
Read it, predict it, sub-edit it, fact check it. It was really boring.
Score it as well.
Yeah.
And what I think is interesting as well, though, is that I actually thought that Ndiaye initially against Brighton, it was because it was so skewed towards the left-hand side, he was on the right-hand side, and as a right footer, it was sort of a little bit clunky.
Yeah.
However, he then scored with a back post finish against Brighton with his stronger right foot. He did the same again against Wolves. So actually, I was like, I don't mind that, the way that he can then drift into the back post and score goals. I don't think Dibbling is that sort of profile of player. So if you're going to have Grealish and Dibbling on the left and the right, and then try and provide it for better, you kind of maybe only have potentially one dimension to your attacking crosses. Whereas if you do have a bit more of a skew or an imbalance, actually it means that much like a Brennan Johnson coming to the back post for Spurs when he was on the right-hand side, you can actually have a specific pattern of play there as well as maybe crossing for better. So I actually don't mind Ndiaye maybe being on the right-hand side. Dibbling will get minutes, and he is a very tricky player. Not got too much attacking output at the moment, but he's really young. But overall, I think add him to the mix of everything that we've said, and it is still really exciting for Everton's attack.
Okay, great. Well, before I let everyone go, I want to hear one more narrative that's been busted of yours so far. So, JJ, I'm going to take yours already, as you predicted that Manchester City could win the Premier League this season. Already that feels like that might not be the case. Still could happen, but that might be represent the biggest gap between what you thought and what you now think after 3 games. Mark Carey, is there another team? Is there anything that's really surprised you after 3 games?
They're really trying to tease out an early take from me.
Yeah.
One example I would give is that I think everyone giving Brentford a really hard time at the start of the season, and before a ball was kicked, they were like, they're going down. Like, they've lost so many players, and obviously Thomas Frank as well. But
I did that.
They haven't done amazingly at the start of the season, but actually you look at who they brought in, and there are some really good attacking players that they brought in. Like Igor Thiago as well, as someone who can lead that, or does lead the line. He was injured for a lot of last season. People kind of forget about him. He was at the time, I think, the record-breaking transfer for Brentford. You actually go through their side. I know it's not the same, but they brought in Jordan Henderson for Christian Norgard when they said that they've lost a leader and a captain. That sort of thing. You can look at it one of 2 ways in terms of the continuation of bringing Keith Andrews in versus a new exciting manager. I think there's something to be said about keeping things kind of stable. My sort of take is that I think Brentford will do okay. I don't think they're going to improve upon last season, but I just don't think they're not going to be relegated to go down. I don't think.
Great. Kaya?
I thought that Manchester United were going to be quite good. They're not.
Right.
I liked a lot of the signings they made. I don't as much anymore.
Yeah.
But I still think Mbeumo and Cunha are good signings, but I think they have issues that have not been fixed in the slightest.
Okay. Steve, thank you. What about you?
I've got a feeling
that's all we've got time for, unfortunately. That's the end of the... No, go on, Steve. What is it?
I just got a feeling about Fulham.
I've
got a feeling about Fulham, Villa right now.
I should have cut him off. Good Lord. Yeah. Right, well, we're back on Wednesday, where, I don't know what's happening. I've no clue.
It's a Football Manager special.
Oh, is it? Is that this week?
Thursday.
We got JJ Bull. We got Zealand coming, right? Yeah, yes. The famous Football Manager guy, Zealand. You know him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he new?
Yeah. Zealand. And also, there's a very fusty old man who's going to come in there. A fusty old mother, I think they call him in Kentish Town, who we thought would never haunt these corridors again, and yet his ghostly hands, I can feel them closing around my neck, Steve Hankey. Ian McIntosh will be here. Oh, no. I don't know. When do we release? On Thursday?
Thursday.
That episode goes out on Thursday. So look forward to that. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but work it out on the day, won't we? Until then, JJ, thank you.
Okay.
Mark Carey.
Thank you.
Kaya Kainak.
Thank you.
And Steve Hankey.
Thank you.
See you on Thursday. Ta-ra for now.